Auto Mundial is sponsored by Trade Centre.
Welcome to Auto Mundial, the weekly car news and review show. This time we're checking out the new BMW M2. Can it live up to its badge?
We're also hitting the road in Subaru's debut EV, the new Solterra, and Mercedes reveals its new GLC Coupe.
Plus, the retro hybrid from Jeep. That's all coming up later in the show. Up first though, the news.
A panel of judges has announced the 2023 Women's Car of the Year winners. Now in its 13th year, the jury judged dozens of different models, whittling them down to 6 finalists, one for each judging category. Ford's new Ranger took the win in the 4x4 class, while the Audi RS3 won the Performance Car Award. Jeep and Citroën won in the family car categories, and the large SUV class was topped by the new Nissan X-Trail. Kia claimed the Urban Car Award with its new Niro, which went on to win the overall Women's Car of the Year top spot. The panel, made up of 63 of the world's top female motoring journalists from 45 countries, praised the Kia's practicality, diverse powertrain selection and economy. Of course, as we and the organisation are keen to point out, there's no such thing as women's cars. The objective of the awards is to choose the best car of the year for all consumers, with the world's only judging panel made up exclusively of women.
These days, it seems there's an EV for just about any purpose. There are electric saloons, SUVs, estate cars, and even hot hatchbacks. And now, from Subaru, we have an electric 4x4. In the spirit of the much-loved Foresters and Outbacks, the new Solterra, according to Subaru, offers the go-anywhere capability and ever-dependable rugged reliability that the brand's other models are known for. A big claim, so we decided to test it out in the sorts of outdoorsy places that Subaru drivers love, and in some very British conditions. Now, first things first, if you think you've seen this car before, you're right. The Solterra is almost identical to the fetchingly named Toyota BZ4X. But this isn't simply a Toyota with different badges. Subaru co-developed the platform, and there are key differences between the two cars. The Solterra gets more of an off-road focus, with a bespoke X-Mode system, which adjusts the motors and controls the brakes to allow for optimum traction on loose surfaces, as well as hill descent control. However, the key to the Solterra's off-road prowess, and the biggest difference from the Toyota, is its permanent all-wheel drive system. Coupled with its decent ground clearance, the Subaru made light work of the bumpy tracks and trails of North Yorkshire. With the X-Mode engaged, wheel slip was kept to a minimum, while steep descents were handled with ease. On the styling front, the Solterra is one of the most eye-catching cars in its class, even managing to turn heads in the Dales. There are big plastic wheel arch extensions to protect against scratches, while the low roofline and sporty rear spoiler stand out from the more conservative rivals from Europe. There are two different trims on offer. The entry-level Limited, priced at a fiver under 50 grand, and our test car, the £53,000 Touring, which gains 20-inch alloys, a panoramic roof, electric faux leather seats, and a few nice bits of extra tech. including a wireless phone charger and a posh audio system. Both versions use the same 71.4 kWh battery, powering a motor on each axle. Limited models get a WLTP range figure of 289 miles, but that number is slightly lower for the better equipped Touring at 257. That said, we struggled to achieve much over 200 miles during our time with the car. Colder weather seemed to particularly harm the range, achieving around 2.7 miles per kilowatt hour, driving sensibly with the heater turned off. And that's a shame, because out on the road the Solterra is a very enjoyable thing to drive. Not something we're used to saying about 2-ton electric SUVs. There's enough torque to keep you amused when you put your foot down, while impressive body control and well-weighted steering mean it really does feel like a Subaru, and you soon find yourself hustling it through turns. Ride quality is good, as is the lack of wind and tyre noise. The combined 215 bhp from the e-motors is enough to see it from 0 to 62 in under 7 seconds, while regenerative braking can be adjusted by paddles, with the highest setting achieved via a button on the centre console. Inside, there are a few too many scratchy plastics for a 50 grand car, especially in front of the digital dash, and the plastic door handles feel a bit bargain basement. We're big fans of the fabric dashboard though, and the simple layout for the controls. A real highlight of the cabin is the gorgeous 12.3-inch infotainment system, which is easy to use and fast to respond. Apple CarPlay is wireless, but you'll need a cable for Android Auto. Subarus have long appealed to adventurous types with bulky camping gear and muddy dogs to carry. Pleasingly, the Solterra doesn't disappoint when it comes to practicality. The boot is enormous and opens to a flat floor, making it easy for loading things in and out. There's plenty of space for 4 tall adults inside too, making this one of the most practical EVs out there. Questionable range aside, the new Solterra is a worthy family car and, most importantly, a proper Subaru. With its combination of off-road ability, brilliant tech and excellent practicality, it might be the perfect EV for lovers of the great outdoors.
In 2021, Jeep lifted the lid on something of a landmark car, its first ever hybrid, the Wrangler 4xe. Aiming to make the boxy 4x4 more appealing in countries where gas guzzlers are becoming less than welcome, it pairs a 2-litre petrol engine with a 17 kWh lithium-ion battery pack. The regular car's torque converter has been ditched in favour of a belt-driven starter generator and electric motor. The result is an impressive power output of 375 brake horsepower and a small but useful electric-only range of 25 miles, which should be handy for silently exploring the outdoors or just driving through town on your way to work. It's taken the slightly anachronistic Wrangler and brought it up to date as a sensible and fast everyday car. Jeep being Jeep though, the air of sensibility only goes so far. This is the new Wrangler Willys 4xe, a plug-in hybrid Jeep with some added nostalgia. Inspired by the Willys Jeeps of World War II, the Wrangler Willys gained some unique decals, a retro colour scheme and a military vibe thanks to its black trim and stencil graphics. Don't worry, it does come with doors as well as a load of impressive off-road hardware. A suspension lift and heavy-duty axles will appeal to outdoorsy types, while the knobbly Firestone mud-terrain tyres should keep you moving through just about anything. Described by Jeep as the ultimate combination of capability and electrification, the Wrangler Willys 4xe is certainly one of the more interesting PHEVs on the market right now.
After the break, BMW's new M2, is it as good as the old one? Auto Mundial is sponsored by Trade Centre. Auto Mundial is sponsored by Trade Centre.
Coming up, an all-new BMW M car, but first.
A couple of weeks ago, we took a look at Mercedes' latest SUV, the new GLC. It didn't look much different from the old model, but with a new platform and a fabulous new interior, it reminded us that when it comes to premium 4x4s, Mercedes is tough to beat. And now it has revealed this, the new, sleeker, lower GLC Coupe. Essentially a GLC that's had a haircut, it sits on Mercedes' newest MRA2 platform, along with the C-Class, allowing for some extra electrified running gear. On the outside though, the Coupe doesn't look that different to the outgoing model. It gets black painted roof rails and optional running boards, while the new headlight design blends neatly into the front grille. The flanks of the car have been re-sculpted, and the body-coloured wheel arches are now available in place of the black plastic ones found on the old car. However, these are all minor compared to what's been going on under the bonnet. To bring it up to spec with the latest BMW X4, the GLC Coupe now features electrification of some sort across its entire lineup. Propelling the Coupe is either a 2-litre petrol motor or a 2-litre diesel, each available in various different guises. All versions are available as either 48-volt mild hybrids or plug-in hybrids. For UK buyers, the range starts with the 220D 4MATIC with 197 brake horsepower, while the most powerful of the mild hybrid models is the 300D 4MATIC with 269 bhp. However, the petrol 300 4MATIC is the fastest, topping out at 152 miles per hour. There are also numerous PHEV versions, the highlight being the GLC 300DE 4MATIC with its ambitious 588 mpg figure, up to 30 over the SUV thanks to its aerodynamic sloping roofline. For buyers who are less conscious about fuel economy, there is an AMG version on the way with a suspected 671 bhp. The new Coupe is 47mm longer than its SUV counterpart, but the sloping roof means there's less boot space, although this still is up by 45 litres on the old car at 545 litres. However, buyers beware, boot space drops to 390 litres in the plug-in versions, something to be aware of if you're looking to fill the GLC with lots of luggage. Mercedes has also been busy on the interior. The old car felt decidedly last gen on the inside compared to the BMW X4, so this is a much-needed refresh. Gone is the incongruous stuck-on infotainment screen, with a new C-Class style dashboard incorporating a 12-inch portrait touchscreen with the latest MBUX software. There's also a new configurable digital instrument display and an optional head-up display to help you keep your eyes on the road.
So how does it compare to the X4? Well, like the GLC Coupe, the X4 has been recently refreshed, with chunkier proportions, a larger kidney grille and thinner headlights. It's had a tech upgrade too, with a 12-inch touchscreen and a digital instrument cluster. As BMW develops it, the infotainment system will be upgraded with over-the-air updates. Where the X4 falls down, though, is in its powertrain options. In the UK, you're limited to a mild hybrid diesel with either 187 or 282 brake horsepower, with no sign of plug-in hybrids or petrol models. Not a problem if you want a diesel, but certainly something to think about when comparing to the GLC Coupe. There is an X4M though, with 503 brake horsepower.
So which one would we go for? Well, while the X4 has historically been the go-to model in this class, the updated engines and interior on the GLC Coupe have brought it bang up to date, and certainly one to consider when it goes on sale later in a few weeks' time.
A few episodes back, we looked at BMW's latest M car, the big, bold, heavy SUV masquerading as a driver's car. If we're honest, it did leave us feeling a little worried about the future of the M brand. It turns out, though, that we needn't have been. This is the all-new BMW M2, and it's about as old school as performance cars get. There's a big engine up front, 3 pedals and a gear stick in the middle, with power sent to the back. The perfect petrol head recipe then, so let's see what the M division has been up to. Starting with the new 2 Series Coupe, the engineers have done a thorough job transforming it. Straight away you notice the more aggressive stance with huge, swollen arches accommodating some bespoke alloys. 19 inches at the front, 20s at the back. The track has been increased both front and rear, while bigger grills, a new rear diffuser and quad exhausts make the M2 easy to spot. There's a subtle lip on the boot lid too, but if you want your M2 to stand out even more, an M Performance Parts catalogue is on its way with some more eye-catching options. Onto the bonnet you get a fully fledged M3 engine, albeit one that's slightly detuned so as not to tread on its bigger sibling's toes. Like so many of the M division's greatest hits, it's a 3-litre straight 6, turbocharged to produce 453 brake horsepower. And while that's less than you get in an M3, it's still more than you get in even the most extreme versions of the old model. 0 to 62 takes just 4.2 seconds if you opt for the paddle shift box. But we suspect that many buyers will prefer to sacrifice a few tenths in favour of a manual. Top speed is electronically limited to 155 miles per hour, but if you ask nicely and pay some extra cash, BMW will remove the limiter, allowing you to reach 177. To ensure it can corner as well as it goes, the M2's chassis has been overhauled with various bits of extra bracing to keep it all stiff. It gets a perfect 50-50 weight distribution, an active differential, adaptive suspension and 10 levels of adjustability for the traction control, meaning plenty of sideways action is likely to be on the cards when it arrives in spring next year. Inside you get all the typical high-spec 2 Series gadgets, including the impressive curved windscreen display, incorporating a digital instrument panel and a massive 15-inch infotainment system. Harman Kardon audio is fitted as standard, as well as some body-hugging seats, although the lightweight carbon fibre bucket seats come as part of the optional M Drivers Pack. Prices start from around £65,000, putting it right into Porsche Cayman territory.
But is the smallest Porsche a better option? £61,000 puts you in a Cayman S, and while that might miss out on the bigger six-cylinder motor, the flat four still delivers some fantastic performance. It's way down on power versus the M2 at 345 bhp, but its smaller stature and lower curb weight means it'll hit 62 from rest in 4.6 seconds onto an identical top speed of 177. The mid-engined Cayman does lose out on practicality with only 2 seats, but really, how often are M2 drivers using their back seats for anything more than shopping bags? Step up your budget to £73,000 and you can get yourself into the 6-pot GTS model, but add a few options and you will be well on your way to an 80 grand Cayman.
There will always be those who prefer Porsches and those who prefer BMWs. We're yet to drive the new M2, but we've no doubt it'll be great with that tried and tested recipe. For now though, the Cayman remains the sports coupe to beat.
Join us again next week on Auto Mundial as we take a look at the remarkable new Kia EV9.
Auto Mundial is sponsored by Trade Centre.